This guy is seriously crazy. When he was told that he could choose any one thing to take with him, everyone thought he would pick some powerful weapon or ability. But Ji-hoon surprised everyone. Instead of choosing any item or ability, he directly chose the goddess herself. Before Aqua, that is, the same goddess, could understand anything, another goddess descended from the sky. Since Ji-hoon's wish had already been approved, for this new mission, another goddess would take her place. Aqua's face was worth seeing when the magic circle started activating. She's a goddess. These kinds of options should have been invalid, but for Ji-hoon, this was a winning moment. Let me give up. I just found out something important. What is POW? I didn't say it. You said it. Ji-hoon chose the second option without thinking. Aqua immediately summoned several cards with weapons and powers drawn on them so that he could choose one from them. Being a hardcore gamer, Ji-hoon instantly got confused. Aqua told him to hurry because others were in line too, but Ji-hoon couldn't take it anymore. He was fed up with Aqua's constant taunts, so he selected her as the item. The same scene shown in the beginning. After that, both of them reach the new world. But just as Ji-hoon had imagined, Aqua turns out to be quite useless. Beautiful face, but fails in everything else. Despite being a goddess, she didn't have a single useful equipment. Ji-hoon remembered game logic. In a new world, first thing to do is collect information from the guild. But when he asked Aqua for the guild's address, she didn't know anything. What to even do? Thankfully, the town was small, so after a little searching, they reached the guild. But here came another shock. They needed money to join the guild. Aqua didn't have anything either. That's when Aqua thought of going to a priest to ask for money, introducing herself as the water goddess. But the priest turned out to be a devotee of another goddess, Eris. Aqua was about to leave, but the priest stopped her and gave her 4 gold coins, saying that this was Eris's blessing. He also said that no matter how big of a devotee someone is, calling oneself a goddess is forbidden. Aqua's heart broke. She already had doubts about her identity, and now Eris's devotee was also pitying her. Anyway, now that they had money, both of them started the registration process. As soon as you place your hand on a crystal ball, your character stats are revealed, and based on that, you can choose a profession. Ji-hoon thought his stats would be explosive, but only his intelligence and luck turned out to be high. Everything else was average. The guild lady suggested he become a merchant. Ji-hoon was in shock. What kind of beginning is this? When it was Aqua's turn, her stats were the complete opposite of Ji-hoon's. Only her intelligence and luck were low, but everything else was exceptional. She could choose any profession. Aqua chose Archpriest, a top-tier support class. The guild was buzzing with excitement. Everyone started congratulating her. And Ji-hoon? He started doubting his decision again. But there wasn't much time to think, as their adventure life had officially begun. At night, Ji-hoon suddenly wakes up in his dream, thinking that he came here to defeat the Demon King, so how did he end up doing menial tasks like washing stones? The next day, they took on a mission to kill 5 giant frogs. Aqua confidently said to leave it all to her. But as soon as the frogs appeared, Aqua not only didn't help, but started taunting Ji-hoon. Her laughter caught the frog's attention. Funny thing, when a frog is about to spit something, it can't move. So Ji-hoon killed it. Aqua's entire body was covered in slimy liquid. Ji-hoon suggested they buy some equipment, as these monsters were above their level. But Aqua couldn't accept this. She felt her honor was tarnished by the frog's touch. Then Ji-hoon remembered that Aqua either sleeps in a stable or drinks with an old man. What kind of goddess is she? But Aqua had run out of patience. She attacked another pink frog. This time she decided to unleash her inner goddess power. Somehow they managed to kill 2 frogs together. That night, Aqua suggested they recruit some more party members. Ji-hoon also liked the idea, as killing just 2 monsters in a day and earning so little money wasn't worth it. But their reputation was so bad that no one wanted to join their team. But Aqua said she had already put up a recruitment poster. She claimed to be a top-tier support and even wrote fake reviews. There was only one condition: only high-level adventurers could join. The next day, no one showed up. Then a girl appeared, walking towards them in slow motion. Ji-hoon immediately understood. She was definitely an over-the-top girl who made a big deal out of small things. But Aqua recognized her. She was from the Crimson Demon Clan. These people are born with high intelligence and mastery over magic. The guild was excited too, but the girl, whose name is Megumin, was about to faint. She hadn't eaten in 2 days. Ji-hoon fed her and even asked about the patch over her eye. Aqua was there too. If her eye was injured, they could have healed it. But Megumin said the patch was to control a powerful spell. If removed, the world would be destroyed. Ji-hoon thought, what a crazy girl. But when it was confirmed that her class was Archwizard, he let her join the team. The next day, the 3 of them went back to the jungle. Megumin had explosion magic, the most powerful magic, but it took a lot of time to cast, so the other 2 had to create distractions. Ji-hoon was about to fight when another frog appeared. Aqua, seeking revenge, charged at the frog without thinking. Her divine rage also activated. While all this was happening, Megumin's spell was completed. The sky changed color, everything started twisting, and then the explosion happened. Seeing this magic, Ji-hoon was also shocked. It was literally the ultimate move. But the problem was that the explosion woke up another frog. When Ji-hoon told Megumin to move, he saw that she had fainted. After casting such powerful magic, she had no energy left. But it was fine. The task was completed. On the way back, Ji-hoon was saying something to Megumin Megumin, Jihoon declared that from now on, explosion magic was forbidden except in emergencies. But Megumin clearly stated that this was the only magic she knew, and she loved only this magic. Even if she could only use it once a day and fainted every time, she didn't care. For her, this was enough. Jihoon was completely shocked. But Megumin said she was a loyal person, and her heart was set on only this magic. Aqua also got emotional seeing her dedication. When the two problematic girls looked into each other's eyes and felt a connection, Jihoon felt like everything was beyond his tolerance. He immediately decided to leave the team, but Megumin clung to him. She wouldn't let go no matter what. Seeing their condition, the people around understood that Jihoon might be trying to abandon a child. And when people looked at Aqua and Megumin's clothes, they thought Jihoon was up to something shady. Jihoon reluctantly agreed. After completing the mission, Jihoon leveled up 4 times at once, and they received a reward of 1.1 lakh. But when the money was divided among 3 people, the total amount was quite small, because this money was literally earned by risking their lives. Then a beautiful lady knight noticed the recruitment notice on the wall and came over to Jihoon, asking if a team could be formed. Jihoon's heart was filled with excitement. A beautiful knight was talking to him, but when he looked into her eyes, he felt something strange, as if something bad was about to happen. The knight said something, Jihoon said something, and then she said something else. Every dialogue was filled with awkwardness. At first, he thought he had finally met a normal person, but the next moment everything turned upside down. Jihoon refused her, saying his team had a foolish goddess, another girl who could only use one magic, and he himself was in the weakest class. But the knight was happy. She said her strength and endurance were high, but her accuracy was so bad that she couldn't hit anything, so she wanted to be a tank and take command of small things like Jihoon. In such close conversation, Jihoon's heart started beating fast again, but this time his rationality won. He escaped from the conversation, saying he had drunk too much. The next day, while Jihoon and Megumin were talking about learning skills, the knight returned. Her friend Chris was also with her. As soon as Chris heard, she said she could teach Jihoon some thief class skills. Just buy her a sparkling soda bottle. Jihoon immediately agreed. They went outside. Chris pretended to lightly punch him, and the next moment, Jihoon's wallet was in her hand. But she wasn't in the mood to return it. She said if Jihoon could successfully use the skill he learned to get the wallet back, then it would be his. Otherwise, the wallet would be hers. Jihoon thought he should at least try. Sometimes a golden card comes out in a single pull, so this might work too. After learning the skill, he was quite excited, but Chris had also set up her traps. She had hidden some lions in the prize pool to lower the success rate. Jihoon's hand touched something soft. He thought he had hit the jackpot, but Chris's face turned cold. Then the lady knight standing nearby looked at him with jealousy in her eyes. Now, she definitely wanted to join the team. Jihoon refused again, but Megumin said the knight's class was quite useful, so there was no reason to reject her. Jihoon tried to scare her by saying he wanted to defeat the Demon King, and if the knight joined his team, she would be treated as a non-human if caught. But the knight got excited. Just thinking about such torture gave her a thrill. Jihoon was speechless. He looked at Megumin and said that an opponent of the Demon King's level wouldn't even acknowledge her existence. Megumin got even more excited. She said if the Demon King ignored her, she would blow him up with the world's most powerful magic. Jihoon didn't know what to say. Then, an emergency alert sounded in the guild. All adventurers were to go to the city gate. Jihoon thought it would be a big monster attack, but it turned out to be a task to catch flying cabbages. Catching these cabbages earned 10,000 per cabbage. The knight thought this was a good opportunity to show off her skills, but even after so many flashy moves, her damage was only 0.5. The other adventurers started screaming. Some even fainted from the cabbages' attacks. The knight started saving everyone with her body. People were impressed by her knightly spirit, but the knight herself was lost in a different kind of pleasure. And these weren't the only weird people. Megumin, seeing so many flying enemies, couldn't resist the temptation of explosion magic. She created a magnificent explosion, and not only did the cabbages fly away, but so did the adventurers. Well, the mission was completed, and the knight finally joined Jihoon's team. Now the team was complete. Top-tier support Aqua, overpowered attacker Megumin, unbreakable tank Darkness, and Jihoon, who just tried to stay safe in the background. But the story doesn't end here. The problem is that Megumin is someone who needs to use explosion magic at least once a day, or her day feels incomplete. And every time she casts the spell, she faints, so someone has to carry her back. And this responsibility falls on Jihoon. One day, when they went out for a daily mission, they found out that a lieutenant of the Demon King had arrived in the nearby area. The monsters were hiding in fear, so no tasks were available. But Megumin's passion was to blast something every day, so Jihoon took her to an old castle for explosion practice. Sometimes in the cold rain, sometimes in the snow. Every day, Megumin's explosion was a must. But they didn't know that the place where they were practicing daily explosions was actually the temporary base of the Demon King's lieutenant. That day, the receptionist sitting at the guild's counter called all adventurers to the city gate in combat mode for an emergency. The enemy wasn't some small fry. It was a high-ranking officer of the Demon King's army, the Headless Knight. Hearing this name, all the adventurers' faces turned pale. The atmosphere was tense with tension. Everyone started speculating who could could be responsible for this. Megumin, though a bit sweaty, was driven by her sense of justice and couldn't stay still. When the headless knight appeared and saw that the culprit was a small girl, he didn't attack immediately. First, he lectured Megumin, saying that the people of this town were total noobs, and he didn't even need to do anything himself. Megumin responded with a full-on Chunibyu-style self-introduction. She said she had deliberately used explosion magic every day to lure out the headless knight. The adventurer's reaction was, "What the heck?" Ji-hoon's face was also filled with shock, as he had never heard of such a strategy before. But the surprising thing was that the headless knight didn't react to this. He just gave a warning, telling them not to blow up his base again. That's it. But Megumin refused, saying that if she didn't use explosion magic even for a day, she would die. Hearing this, the headless knight froze for a second. He wasn't interested in killing people, but this kind of stubbornness was too much for him. Then Megumin called Aqua to the battlefield. The headless knight saw that Aqua's class was actually his natural counter, but he took this goddess-turned-priest lightly. He then focused on Megumin again. At that moment, the Night Darkness stepped forward and absorbed the curse meant for Megumin. Ji-hoon also immediately went to her, checking if she was okay. But then Darkness's behavior changed. After being cursed, she became overly excited. Ji-hoon was completely speechless. Darkness kept talking, and her feet started moving towards the headless knight on their own. Ji-hoon stopped her, and the headless knight also said he couldn't wait any longer. He disappeared. Darkness, disappointed, started drawing circles on the ground, and Megumin decided she would go to the castle herself to remove the curse. Ji-hoon said he would go too, as he had some responsibility, and Megumin couldn't move after every blast, so someone had to carry her back. Megumin was happy, but the next moment, Aqua used her purification magic, and Darkness's curse was instantly removed. All the adventurers were impressed by Aqua's work. Ji-hoon and Megumin just stood there with awkward faces. There was only one thing to take when coming to this new world. Someone took a magic sword and became a dragon slayer with two waifus by his side. But what did Ji-hoon choose? A goddess? The result? He had to live in a horse stable, and every teammate was a total weirdo in some way. In the afternoon, Aqua was still asleep, and Ji-hoon was frustrated with himself. This was quite different from his dreamed fantasy world. When Aqua woke up, she was also confused. Megumin, who never got bored with this world, also realized that because of the headless knight, they had stopped getting low-level tasks. Megumin was desperate for earnings. Aqua also tearfully asked Ji-hoon to take on a high-level mission. Seeing the goddess in such a state, Ji-hoon agreed. He told Aqua to find a suitable task. Megumin warned that Aqua would definitely pick an overkill-level task, and that's exactly what happened. Aqua immediately chose a mission where death was almost guaranteed. Ji-hoon luckily arrived in time and stopped her. Then Aqua saw a water purification mission. It was perfect for her, as she was the water goddess. The only problem was that lake monsters would attack during the purification. Ji-hoon suggested putting Aqua in an iron cage and placing it in the lake. She only needed to touch the water for purification. She would be safe, and the monsters wouldn't reach her. There was just one problem: no access to a washroom. 2 hours later, Ji-hoon asked if she needed to use the washroom. Aqua said archpriests don't need washrooms. Megumin immediately supported her. The Crimson Demon tribe also doesn't need them. Then the lake crocodiles caught the scent and came closer. Aqua, scared, sped up the purification. The monsters attacked the cage, but the cage's quality was good, so it held. Aqua completed the purification in 7 hours. The lake water was now crystal clear. The monsters were gone. Aqua was completely exhausted. When Ji-hoon said he would put the reward in her name, Aqua still refused to leave the cage. She said she just wanted to be dragged home in the cage. At that time, in another place, a golden-haired boy was slaying a dragon with a single slash of his magic sword. He also had 2 fangirls with him. That boy was also a reincarnated human sent to this world by Aqua. As he was returning, his eyes fell on Aqua trapped in the cage. He was shocked. He immediately broke the cage with his hands. Ji-hoon was completely embarrassed by this scene. The boy expected Aqua to recognize him, but Aqua didn't remember anything. The boy showed his magic sword, but Aqua still didn't recognize it. The boy felt awkward and put the sword away. Then he asked what she was doing in the cage. When he heard the full story, he scolded Ji-hoon. He said with such a good goddess and team, why were they keeping her in a stable? Ji-hoon felt a bit guilty. He thought if he had chosen the magic sword, life would have been chill by now. He wouldn't have anxiety in every battle. Maybe his brain would have worked properly then. Ji-hoon quietly started to leave, but the reincarnated boy directly challenged him. He said if he won, Aqua would be his, and if he lost, he would fulfill one of Ji-hoon's wishes. What a situation. Ji-hoon's luck value was top tier. The 2 fangirls who were with the reincarnated boy started screaming at Ji-hoon. They called him rude, a cheater. They told him to return the sword, but Ji-hoon casually struck a pose to steal. He said, if you want to feel a chill, get ready. The next day, Aqua went to collect the reward, and she believed that their purification mission's reward should have been 3 lakh, but it turned out that the cage the golden-haired boy had broken would cost 2 lakhs as a fine. Aqua's anger reached the sky. She decided that in the next encounter, she would give that boy a goddess's wrath punch, and as soon as she said that, the golden-haired boy returned. This time, in front front of everyone, he exposed some of Ji-hoon's perverted habits. Then he went to Aqua and said, "So, you want the same price I got, right?" As soon as Aqua took the money, her mood instantly changed. She shone with happiness. On the other hand, the golden-haired boy asked for his magic sword back, as it was his personal exclusive weapon. After he left, the Lady Night Darkness became curious. She asked why people called Aqua a goddess. Ji-hoon realized it was the right time to reveal everything. Then Aqua stepped forward and said she was the water goddess of the Axis Church. At that moment, another emergency call came in the guild. All adventurers were immediately called to the city gate in combat stance. But this time, there was special emphasis. Ji-hoon's team had to come. "Why haven't you come to the gate yet? Do you even have a conscience?" It turned out that the headless knight had returned. The poor guy just wanted to live peacefully in the castle, but Megumin kept blasting every day. The knight said, "I just want peace, but this lowly wizard ruins my life with daily explosions. I came to give a warning, but this psycho girl just keeps blasting as part of her daily routine." Ji-hoon's reaction was obvious. He was completely speechless. But logically speaking, Megumin fainted after every blast, so her accomplices were obviously Ji-hoon and Aqua. Aqua also protested, saying it was all the headless knight's fault, as they weren't getting proper quests because of him. But the knight suddenly said his real anger was about something else. He had cursed darkness, and Ji-hoon's team hadn't even taken revenge? Then Aqua casually mentioned that his curse had already been cleansed. The knight was completely dumbfounded. Aqua laughed and said, "This is what a goddess does. Yes, I cleansed it just like that. What's your level, bro?" To save his ego, the knight threatened to sacrifice everyone. He was struck by a powerful holy light, but Aqua felt something odd. The knight was clearly scared. Then he summoned his undead minions. Ji-hoon realized that the knight genuinely feared Aqua, which was why he was summoning minions. Then the headless knight ordered the entire town to be sacrificed. The undead army started charging, and all the adventurers panicked. But surprisingly, all the undead were only chasing Aqua. Darkness became jealous seeing this. Ji-hoon immediately identified this as the perfect moment for explosion magic. But before Megumin could say anything, Aqua ran towards her. Ji-hoon was confused, but he quickly made a plan. He and Megumin ran straight towards the headless knight, and at the right moment, they split up. Megumin started chanting. When the spell was complete, a meteor-like energy ball fell, wiping out the entire undead army. Megumin's face showed ultimate peace, as if she had found catharsis, and as expected, she immediately fainted. The adventurers started celebrating. Everyone thought it was all over, but the happiness was short-lived, because the headless knight was about to show his real power. Ji-hoon started feeling a bit tense. Aqua's magic wouldn't have much impact now. Then the adventurers confidently said, "Relax, our ace hasn't even arrived yet." And to buy time, some adventurers started advancing towards the stage. Some adventurers decided to surround the headless knight, but no one had thought that he would just let out a light "hey hey" and then toss his head into the sky, activating a terrifying domain. With just one attack, he instantly killed all the surrounding adventurers. Seeing this, Ji-hoon immediately understood that they were done for. The traitor the knight was talking about was none other than that golden-haired boy whose magic sword Ji-hoon had stolen and sold. Just when it seemed like everything was about to end, Darkness stepped in and stood in front of everyone. She knew she might not win, but some things couldn't be compromised. The headless knight's attacks were as terrifying as a storm, but Darkness didn't lose courage. His attack was so fast that it even tore through Darkness's armor, but instead of feeling pain, Darkness felt joy, and this was the ultimate display of her sadomasochistic personality. But in the meantime, Ji-hoon had bought some time. He first used water magic, then ice magic to stop the headless knight's feet, and in the final move, he used his stealing skill, his trump card. But this time, luck wasn't on his side. The difference in strength was too great, and the skill failed. Then Darkness saved him again, but this time she endured even more torture. Then Ji-hoon called other magicians and started a continuous barrage of water magic, as he had already guessed that undead enemies feared water. Aqua also arrived, but she didn't know what Ji-hoon was doing. Ji-hoon angrily said, "Even a dog would understand that he's afraid of water," so he expected at least this much from a goddess. Aqua shouted, "My water output is like a tsunami!" But the situation was an emergency, so she also started using her magic. The magic energy flowing around the headless knight became a danger for him. He tried to run, but Darkness caught him. Wow! Under the flood, the headless knight's power was greatly reduced, but his ego still told him that these losers couldn't harm him. Then he tossed his head into the air again, trying to activate his domain once more. But this time, Ji-hoon activated his stealing skill at the perfect moment, and something unexpected happened. Ji-hoon stole his head, literally. The headless knight's head fell to the ground and became a kickball. Aqua realized it was time to deliver the final blow. The knight's body was immobilized, and Aqua used purification magic on him. Just when everyone thought it was finally over, darkness prayed for everyone, because some companions had died in the fight. But then, suddenly, those companions got up from behind. Aqua had another divine power, revival. As long as someone's soul wasn't completely extinguished, she could bring them back. Darkness felt embarrassed, because this time the humiliation was different from her personal fetish. The next day arrived. For defeating the Headless Knight, the guild rewarded Jihoon's team with 300 million gold. Jihoon thought, now he could finally leave the horse stable and live a proper life. But immediately, another shock came. The repair bill was 340 million, as Aqua's flood magic had destroyed the entire infrastructure. So technically, they were still 40 million in debt. Jihoon had a mild cardiac arrest, but this also strengthened his resolve to defeat the Demon King. His only goal now was to escape this donkey-like life. Jihoon didn't expect that if he died in this world, he would be transferred back to Earth. And the biggest twist? This time, he encountered another goddess, who was the complete opposite of Aqua, kind, gentle, andante, and empathetic. The goddess, hearing his painful story from both lives, got emotional and offered to reincarnate him into a rich family. But Jihoon wanted more. Aqua immediately screamed at Jihoon to quickly drop his weapon, but before she could finish, Jihoon's head had already separated from his body. When he opened his eyes, he found himself in a very familiar place, but this time someone else was there to welcome him. A new goddess, whose name was Eris. Eris wasn't just cute, her voice was also very sweet. She told Jihoon that she would reincarnate him back into his old world in a rich family. Hearing this, Jihoon's face lit up with joy. He was finally going to be free from the useless goddess Aqua, the girl who fainted after every spell, and the knight with weird fetishes. He thought that he had come to this world to be a hero, but ended up doing menial labor, got into debt, and shivered in the cold in a stable. But then, for no reason, tears started flowing from Jihoon's eyes. When Eris started the transfer spell, he realized maybe he didn't hate this world so much. Maybe he really wanted to continue adventures with his friends. But destiny played its trick again. Aqua had already cast a resurrection spell on Jihoon. He could come back anytime he wanted, but Eris refused, saying it would violate heavenly laws. Aqua immediately screamed at Eris, and when she found out that Eris was her junior, she quickly told Jihoon a shortcut. The next second, Jihoon was back in his senses. Megumin and Darkness immediately clung to him. Emotional hugs and screaming started. Aqua also expected him to say some emotional thank you, as it was because of her that Jihoon was alive. When Jihoon heard the reason for his death, seeing himself revived felt like a miracle. A little later, everyone returned to the guild. When Jihoon saw that Aqua had left some snow sprites alive, he immediately drew his sword, as killing each one earned 1 lakh gold. But Aqua refused, saying she had already named them. Jihoon wasn't interested in her words, as his mind was still stuck on Eris's loving words. But when he regained his senses, he saw that the table was full of food, and all this while they were already 40 million in debt. And then, a powerful lady entered the stage, V-Wiz. From the outside, she seemed like a simple item shop owner, but in reality, she was an undead lord who had once rivaled the Headless Knight. But her heart was golden. She went to the cemetery every night to pray for the peace of the spirits. One night, Jihoon and his team met her, and when they realized she wasn't harmful, they let her go. Today, Jihoon came to her to learn new skills. Aqua exploded upon hearing this. Being a goddess, she considered undead skills sinful. She even called Wiz a relative of nasal mucus. But Jihoon was obsessed with rare skills. He really wanted to learn something powerful. When Wiz asked Aqua if she was really a goddess, Aqua didn't hesitate to reveal her true form, the goddess of the Axis Church. Wiz was impressed. Then Wiz congratulated Jihoon's team for defeating the Headless Knight. His sword skills were considered top rank among the cadres. Jihoon was a bit confused. It seemed like the two already knew each other. Then Wiz said that the Headless Knight wasn't friendly with her. He always treated her head like a bowling ball and ogled her body parts. This cleared up the misunderstanding. Wiz wanted to teach Jihoon a skill, Drain Touch. This skill allowed the user to drain others' magic and stamina, and if desired, could also give it to their own team. Jihoon's team lacked offensive power, so this skill was a perfect fit. Aqua immediately got excited. She said, "I'll be the test subject, drain me." But when Wiz used the skill, Aqua resisted, taunted, and almost purified Wiz. Jihoon finally learned the skill, but Aqua wasn't in the mood to let Wiz go. Then an old man came and asked Wiz to calm some wandering spirits, but Jihoon and his team immediately took over the mission. What was the reward for this quest? The right to live in a luxurious mansion. Finally, they could spend the winter in a warm place instead of the stable. There was just one problem. The mansion was continuously haunted. No matter how many times they expelled the spirits, they kept coming back. But Aqua said, "I'm an archpriest. I'm the ultimate nemesis for undead." They cleansed all the rooms. Jihoon finally collapsed on the bed. Relief. But then Aqua started screaming. Jihoon ran and saw Aqua holding a wine bottle and crying. She said a ghost had stolen her drink while she was bathing. Jihoon, furious, went to take revenge on the ghosts. At night, when he needed to use the washroom, he saw an unknown figure in the hall. He went into pretend to be dead mode, but the ghost dolls increased. Jihoon immediately ran towards Aqua's room, but Megumin was there. It turned out she had also come for the same reason, to find a bathroom partner out of fear. Aqua was busy elsewhere, and Darkness wasn't there either. Ji-hoon's bladder was at its maximum limit. He thought of the balcony as an option, but Megumin pushed him. But the next moment, Megumin also got scared, because the balcony wasn't safe anymore. Both of them ran towards the bathroom, but there was only one stall. Ji-hoon let Megumin go first, but Megumin, out of fear, couldn't do anything. Ji-hoon himself was in the bladder burst zone. Then another creepy sound came from the hallway. Megumin was dragged away without even wearing pants. On her way out, she even picked up a flower vase, because why not? Both of them hid in a small storeroom, and Ji-hoon was almost about to cry. Megumin's condition was getting more serious. Suddenly, Megumin started chanting explosion magic, which made Ji-hoon's situation even worse. He decided that he had to use the newly learned Drain Touch skill to do something, or else the night would end badly for both of them. The next day arrived, and finally, Ji-hoon's team temporarily defeated the evil spirits. In return, they received a small reward. But the guild's bartender worriedly informed them that no matter how many times they expelled the spirits, they kept coming back. The reason? Some rocket brain guy near the mansion's graveyard had set up a strong barrier, causing all the homeless spirits to settle in the mansion. Seeing Aqua's cold reaction, Ji-hoon understood, "You were the one who did all this, weren't you?" Aqua immediately confessed, yes, it was her doing, because the graveyard was nearby and she wanted convenience. Ji-hoon was left speechless at that moment. The scene cuts back to a mysterious tavern. Here, people can write down their fantasies and send them to a dream succubus who will come to fulfill the fantasy in their dreams at night. It only costs 2.5% vitality. Ji-hoon was immediately interested. While he was writing his own scenario, his friend Ji-gae had already submitted his. Ji-hoon was curious. What kind of clerk is this guy? You were an adventurer. Night fell. When Ji-hoon returned home, he saw a luxurious feast laid out. This was all sent by Darkness's family as a thank you for taking care of their daughter. The alcohol and crab were all elite, but Ji-hoon remembered the succubus's warning, don't drink too much or the dream won't come. But the environment was so relaxing that he gave into temptation and drank. At night, when he lay down to sleep, he couldn't fall asleep due to excitement and tension. So he decided to take a bath to relax, but that bath became his sleep. The next moment he woke up, some sounds caught his attention. He thought, am I in a dream? The scene was a bit different, but maybe the succubus had customized it. Then a scream was heard in the villa. Ji-hoon ran and saw a girl, the succubus, trapped in Aqua's barrier. Ji-hoon's eyes widened. So this is my dream girl? But Aqua and Megumin had already gone into torture mode on her. Ji-hoon immediately stepped forward, saved the succubus, and told her to escape. Then Darkness arrived and said that Ji-hoon must have been controlled by the succubus. She was furious and drew her sword against Ji-hoon. Ji-hoon also decided, whatever happens, happens. The next day, Darkness came and asked, do you remember anything from last night? Ji-hoon immediately said, I don't remember anything, just a sweet dream. Darkness blushed and said, your touch was a bit intense, but it wasn't bad. Ji-hoon immediately went into dead mode. But then the guild's siren sounded. A moving fortress was heading towards the town. Aqua was already preparing to run. This fortress destroyed everything in its path. Megumin and Aqua were both ready to run, but Ji-hoon said, we got this mansion with so much difficulty, how can we just leave it? In the guild, everyone discussed strategies. People said, if only that golden-haired hero were here. But Ji-hoon felt guilty, because he was the one who had stolen and sold his sword. Then Ji-hoon said, Aqua, can you break the fortress's barrier? Aqua said, there's only a 25% chance, but everyone encouraged her to try. Then the issue came up, massive firepower. Everyone's eyes turned to Megumin. Megumin got a bit angry, but agreed. But the problem was that there was no guarantee that one blast would do anything. Then Wiz made an entrance and said, I'll help too. Everyone got excited. The emergency defense plan started. Everyone began building walls, and then Darkness stood alone on the front line. Ji-hoon told her, your defense is strong, but come to the back line. Then Darkness revealed. Her real name was Lalatina, and she was the daughter of a noble family in this region. It was her duty to protect her people. Ji-hoon was shocked at first, but seeing her dedication, he respected her decision. Then the guild announced the fortress was getting very close to the town. Everyone trembled at the size of the fortress. Megumin also shivered, but Aqua finally used her goddess-level spell, and Megumin unleashed her ultimate explosion. Victory was achieved. Everyone was happy. Someone said they would get married, someone said they would have children. Aqua said, I'm going drinking, but Ji-hoon had doubts, and as expected, the fortress went into self-destruction mode. Panic again, everyone was running. Darkness was super excited. I want to fly with the city. Ji-hoon just stood there in shock, but he saw that Darkness's bravery inspired others. And then he understood, why are these people still here even after reaching level 30? Because protecting this small town means something to them. Ji-hoon still had some confusion in his heart. Did he really want to stay in this small newbie village? But when he saw the dream tickets from the succubus tavern in his hand, the answer became clear. So before the fortress could explode, everyone started the final charge to destroy it. Ji-hoon and his team also joined, and in no time they reached the control room inside the fortress. There, they found the skeleton of an old man who had died in the control seat. Aqua found a diary, in which the fortress's creator had written a painful confession. He said that the kingdom had asked him to build a giant mobile fortress with a minimal budget, but without a proper power source, it was impossible. In desperation, he used some things that led to disaster. I can't stop it. It won't stop. I can't bring it down. These people are all fools. Now I'm taking responsibility for them. After reading all this, it became clear that the fortress's corona core was still overloading. Everyone was confused how to deal with this. Then Wiz suggested teleport it away. But Wiz didn't have enough magic power. She asked Ji-hoon, "Can you lend me some mana?" Ji-hoon emotionally responded, "Papa, Mama, I've grown a lot in this isekai." After that, he drained mana from Aqua and gave it to Wiz. Wiz cast the teleport spell, and the corona core was sent to a random location. The self-destruct threat was over. But as soon as everyone came out, Darkness noticed something still feels wrong. The fortress started shaking again. It turned out that the extreme heat inside was now being released, and if nothing was done, the entire village would turn into a firestorm. Wiz was already drained, so she couldn't cast an explosion spell. Ji-hoon remembered his new skill, Drain Touch. If he could transfer Aqua's mana to Megumin, she could perform a final explosion. Aqua immediately refused. "She's undead. If I put too much divine mana into her, she'll be destroyed." Everyone was tense. Then Ji-gye carried Megumin over. Now all hope was on her. Ji-hoon activated the skill, and Wiz guided him. Drain magic from near the heart, the effect will be stronger. Ji-hoon used the skill in an awkward position. Aqua's divine mana was transferred to Megumin. Megumin immediately felt that this would be her most powerful explosion yet. And that's exactly what happened. Megumin blasted an explosion so powerful that it completely destroyed the remaining unstable core of the fortress. The village was saved. Peace returned. Everything went back to normal. Ji-hoon thought, "This time we did something big. The compensation will be good too." But the happiness didn't last long. The very next day, knights from the capital came and arrested Ji-hoon. "The corona core you randomly teleported destroyed the royal general's mansion. You're being charged with treason. You'll have to come with us." And then the scene fades out. And then we hear Ji-hoon's voice singing a happy birthday song. And with this scene, the anime ends.